Welcome, everybody. Happy Halloween. I'm trying to do my Donald Trump hair. Don't know if it's going to work. If the hair is a bit messed up, but then again, it's not like it's any better. I feel like Irma Bombeck, to be honest, more than Donald Trump. Welcome, everybody. Let me get my TikTok rolling. I did finally find my hair. Oh, there's some kids. Perfect. I have candy in front that they can grab. Excellent. Finally, the kids are out trick-or-treating like, oh my God, he's a little tin man. He's so cute. He's a little tin man. I put a little thing of candy on the front porch so I wouldn't be interrupted during the show, but they're so cute. I want to see the kids. 1 second here. Let me get TikTok rolling too. That's good at least. I literally just put it out so that way they're able to grab some. Hopefully, well, these guys look, but this little boy was like literally 7 years old and he was a little tin man. It was the cutest thing. Oh my God. All right, hold on. Here we go. Go live. I think we're good. At a goal. Anyway, oh my God, I love Halloween. I love Halloween. And we'll do Rockstar again today. Why not? I like the Rockstar one. I think it's fun. All right. Oh, wait, is there another one for Halloween? No, they didn't get anything. They did not get enough fun stuff for Halloween on TikTok. I don't know why. Very silly of them. Huge holiday. Very dumb. All right, confirm. Going live. There we go. Anyway, oh my God, they were so cute. I wanted to open the door for those kids. That little boy was so adorable. Oh my God. Like I said, he was a Tin Woodman and he was probably like 7 years old. And he was the last of the pack, kind of like in his little Tin Woodman outfit. Oh my God. So cute. All right, there we go. All right. Woo. Welcome, everybody. Happy Halloween, TikTokers. I found my Trump wig. I'm very happy. I found Trump. Hold on. Oops. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
And I found the goat, the Greek goat. They were all in a shoebox.
And I found the goat.
Oh, God.
They were all in a shoebox.
Oh, I didn't know he records for a whole minute, this guy. Hey, Ava, thank you for the gift. Anyway, welcome, everybody. This is a little warm. We're going to see how long we stay with Trumpy here today. It's a bit warm, but we shall see. We shall see. Anyway, oh my God. Hey, Elizabeth, thank you for the gift. Woo! Crazy day. Crazy day. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Lamb. Lots of gifts coming in. Thanks, guys. You know I appreciate the gifts. This is actually my old wig, Jens. I got this a couple months ago for whenever I talk about Donald Trump. But then I went to Chicago. Thank you, Pedro. I went to Chicago a couple weeks ago and had to clear a table when I was gone. And I put the wig away and forgot where I put it. So I found the wig. Exactly as Martin said, I found the wig. Thank you, Alexia, for the gift. I found my Trump wig. And I also found the gerbil. And the Greek goat. So we are set with everybody today. Hey, old cat lady. Big Hawk did a fabulous old cat lady costume today that he was sharing on Discord. That was really great. Hello. Are you telling me you've got to go out now? Okay. My dog is doing this to me. She's making me take her out right now. All right. You know my dog. Either she wants to play or she has to go out. I'm going to take the risk of her having to pee. 1 second, guys. Sorry, doing this at the beginning of the show. All right, you're going to make me take you out with my Trumpy hair? Is that what we're doing? Let's try this. Come here. Come here. I'm not trying to leave my Trumpy hair on, but come on. Come on. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Oh my God. All right. Well, that was unique. The dog having to pee at the beginning of the show. Oh, well, you know how it is. Sasha, exactly. Sasha is our number one priority, Jason. You guys know how it is. Thank you, Alexia. Ooh, man. It's sleeting today. It's actually cold in Chicago today, too. I mean, it's 53 and windy, which is nasty. Thank you, Sandria. Thank you, KT. User 336. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. I know. Why is the race so tight? Because a lot of people like fascism. It's all I can figure. I mean, it's pretty scary. Thank you, Emilio, for the gifts. Thank you, Rose Lambs. So thank you, Iggy. So today we're doing an election show. My belt is on. What I did, I found the little belt cutter opener thingy. So my belt is able to be tighter. Now, Sasha, what do you want? Oh, Jesus Christ. The door? Seriously? All right. There you go. Okay. The door was closed all the way, and Sasha gets very upset when the door is closed all the way. So it is now not closed all the way. All right. Anyway. Woo. All right, guys. So, hey, thank you, ChazX. So I'm going to leave the Trump hair on for a while, but I have to say it's annoying. And I have to say, too, I still feel like Irma Bombeck with this wig much more than Donald Trump. The old timers out there know who I'm talking about. So today we're going to cover the election, guys. This is too close to the election. I looked up the Ukraine news. There's one big story from Ukraine today. It looks like 8,000 North Korean troops are now fighting in Kursk, Russia, which is the region that Ukraine had taken part of Russia's region from them. So the Russians now have 8,000 North Koreans fighting there. That's the only big sort of story. But we're going to cover the election today because we are 5 days out from the U.S. election, which is a huge story for Ukraine and for everybody else. So let's get rolling. More than 62 million Americans have voted early already. Speaker Mike Johnson, who's the Republican Speaker of the House. U.S. Congress is made up of the House of Representatives, the U.S. Senate. Mike Johnson is the Speaker, which is the top, thank you, Crazy American, the leader of the party that controls that House of Congress, right? So Republicans control the House. Their leader is the Speaker. He's the Speaker. He came out today, very interestingly, thank you, Crazy American, and said that Republicans are going to repeal Obamacare again if Trump is elected. This is very interesting because Republicans were destroyed in the 2018 elections because of their efforts to repeal Obamacare. And the speaker just came out today and said, if Donald Trump's elected, they're going to do it again. Now, I've talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it again because this is a really important issue. Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act. It is basically, it's not a federal healthcare program at all, really. It's not at all. I have it. It is healthcare protections. I still have insurance through Blue Cross Blue Shield, Care First, whatever. It's one of the big insurance companies in America. I do not have federal health insurance. I have Obamacare, which means I have protections. What Obamacare did, it said now, by the way, it stopped the way insurance used to be. In America, before Obamacare, they told a friend of mine once, 33 years old, very healthy, they would not give him health insurance because he had, I believe it was high blood pressure, eczema, and allergies, I think. I forget the exact three. It was three stupid things. He was a 33-year-old guy, super healthy, part-time teacher. So as a part-time teacher substitute, you don't have health insurance. They wouldn't give him health insurance. Again, like allergies, eczema, itchy skin, right? Women were considered a pre-existing condition before Obamacare. Before Obamacare, thank you, Succeed. Thank you, Jeremy, for the gifts. Insurance companies would charge women more. A man and a woman would walk in, equally healthy, same age, and they would charge the women more for their health insurance because they're girls and girls are expensive. I mean, it was crazy stuff, right? Pregnancy before Obamacare. Pregnancy. Women, this was crazy. Pregnancy was not covered, or under insurance. Women, listen to this, okay? You would have insurance if you decided you wanted to get pregnant. Before Obamacare, Republicans want to go back to this. If you wanted to get pregnant, you had to buy insurance, extra insurance for pregnancy. But the trick was you weren't allowed to get pregnant for 3 months. If you got pregnant within 3 months of buying the insurance to cover your pregnancy, they wouldn't cover your pregnancy. So you basically had to buy the pregnancy insurance when you weren't planning to be pregnant and then try later, or they literally wouldn't cover your pregnancy. Mammograms, Obamacare, free mammograms for women. I mean, Obamacare, I used to have an annual limit on the number of prescription drugs I could get. I was only allowed to buy $1,200 of prescription drugs every year. Now, those of you who aren't American may not appreciate what that means. Prescription drugs are so expensive in America. We sometimes go to Canada to buy them, where they're cheaper. In Europe, they're like 5 to 10 times cheaper. I would go to France every summer and house sit for friends, and I would buy my asthma drugs in France for 1/5 to 1/10 of the price. I would buy Advair. It's called Seretide in Europe, Advair. And my Advair would cost me 40 euros in Paris. In the United States, which is about $40 at the time. In the United States, I was paying $350 a month. The same drug made by the same drug company was 1/10 the price in Europe. Okay. Obamacare didn't change that. But what Obamacare did say was you can no longer not cover John's prescriptions. They would tell me we're covering $1,200 a year and the rest of it you're paying for. My prescription drugs for my asthma used to cost me $500 to $600 a month. My insurance covered 2 months of prescription drugs. And then the rest of the year I had no coverage. Okay. This is what Obamacare is. And the Republicans are trying to get rid of it. And incredibly, they came out today and said yet again, they were going to go after Obamacare when it is now wildly popular. And again, it should be. Another thing about the American, I actually should do one of these times. We ought to do a broadcast just about Obamacare and healthcare. I think it would be interesting because one of the other interesting things, the horror of American healthcare, before Obamacare, we had annual limits and lifetime limits, not just on prescription drugs, but on just how many times you could go to the doctor and how much help you could get in 1 year. And they would tell you you could only go for a certain amount of time or a certain amount of money. Thank you, Elizabeth. And then you're cut off for the rest of the year. Like if you have cancer or some serious, car accident, if you spent too much in 1 year, they wouldn't spend any more money that year. Worse yet, before Obamacare, we had lifetime limits on insurance, and people with cancer would literally run out of insurance. They used to say, for example, something like $2 million for your entire life. And once you spent $2 million from your insurance in your entire life, you're cut off and you can't get any more insurance. Now, $2 million may sound like a lot of money. Not if you're American. Not if you're American, right? My dad, when he died 10 years ago, his insurance bill we got. And because he had good insurance, he didn't have to pay anything. The cost from the hospital, I believe, was $800,000 for my dad. And my dad had a stroke, went to the hospital for 2 or 3 days and died. $800,000. He had insurance. He had very good insurance. If he didn't have insurance, it would have been $800,000. My mom, when she died recently, it was over a week, right? Her bill was around $80,000. Again, she didn't have to pay any because hers was good. What they used to do is people who had cancer, they would literally tell them, you've spent too much money. You're not getting any more. Famous cases about this. Roger Ebert, who is a famous American writer about movies, really good movie reviewer. And Ebert had 3 insurance plans because he had 3 different, one, I think he taught at a university or something. One was a writer's union and one might be from a newspaper, something like that. He had 3 different insurance plans. He had oral cancer, pre-Obamacare. He ran out of 2 of his 3 insurances because of his cancer. He had 3 insurance plans because of his pension and everything else. 2 of them said, it's done. You've spent too much money on your oral cancer. He fortunately had the 3rd one until the very end when he died. That's how crazy our system was. You had cancer and they would just say, too bad, you spent too much money, no more insurance. Obamacare changes that. And the Republicans said today that they plan on getting rid of it again. It's insane. How does anyone pay it? They don't. They die, Championess. If they don't have insurance, though, they can go on, state insurance and try and hope, right? But what's really bad about this, if you make just enough money, you're not allowed to be on state insurance. So you have to get your own. And all you can afford is crappy insurance that maybe you're supposed to pay, 40% or 50% of the bill. And the bill's like $80,000 and they'll negotiate it and say, well, it's $80,000, but we'll make it $20,000 and you owe 50%. So you only owe $10,000. And for most Americans, only owing $10,000 to a hospital is like bank breaking, right? Most people don't have $10,000 sitting around to pay the hospital, right? I mean, you're like better dead practically in that case. It was, our system was horrific. Our healthcare system was absolutely horrific. And Republicans promised today that they're going to go back and do it again. Anyway, really stupid of them. Donald Trump. So Donald Trump's in a little bit of hot water. Quelle surprise, Donald Trump said something stupid again. Wednesday night, Trump said that he is going to protect women whether they like it or not. I'm going to read you what Trump said. The hair may come off soon because it's itching. I don't know how Trump deals with wearing wigs. It is just itching me like crazy. Trump said Wednesday night he's going to protect women whether they like it or not. He told one of his Sir stories. Now, Donald Trump is interesting because he's a pathological liar, as we know. And whenever he's about to lie to you, he likes to tell these stories that are totally made up stories. They're total lies. And you know they're lies whenever he says, sir. He goes, and they said to me, sir, it's a total fucking lie. It literally not true at all, right? So Trump tells this story last night. Sir, my staff said to me, please don't say that he's going to protect women, whether they like it or not. They said, we think it's very inappropriate for you to say. I said, why? I'm president. I want to protect the women of our country. They said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say. He added, I pay these guys a lot of money. I said, well, I'm going to do it. Whether the women like it or not, I'm going to protect them. Kamala Harris had a fabulous response. She said he does not believe women should have the agency and authority to make decisions about their own bodies. She added that Trump believes women should be punished for their choices. She was referring to 2016. Thank you, Max Trax. 2016, when Trump was asked about abortion. Trump's responsible for basically killing the right to an abortion in America. He had said coming into office he was going to do it. He did it. I will sort of give you the backstory here. Trump, forget Trump a second. For the last 50 years, women in America had a constitutionally protected right to abortion. It was actually a constitutionally protected right to privacy, contraception, control of your body. I mean, right, just basically control of your body, and included abortion. Trump came to power and said, I'm going to take it away. He even said at the time he was going to punish women. Thank you, Janice, for the gift. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Appreciate that. He was going to, and thank you, Max, again for the pumpkin. He was going to punish women. He was going to punish their doctors if they have abortions, but he was going to throw women in jail too, Trump said. He comes to office. He appoints 3 Supreme Court justices who had pretty much vowed they were going to kill the right to an abortion, and they did. They not repealed, but they rescinded Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court decision giving women a constitutional right to an abortion. It's gone now, thanks to Donald Trump. And I love how the Trumpers, by the way, we've got one, Steve Sinclair already. We've got a Trumper here already. This, although he could be a Russian too. I love how the Trumpers say it's a lie. Couple things here. One, Trump has repeatedly bragged about it in the last year that he single-handedly killed Roe v. Wade. Google it. Google it. Second of all, Republicans for 50 years have promised that they were going to repeal Roe v. Wade. Third, Republicans are still promising today that they're going to pass a nationwide ban on all abortions. Google it. But it cracks me up because, not cracks me up actually, it's not funny. This is what Republicans do. This is what MAGA does. They are an extremist movement. They are a fascist movement. And they know that the fascism appeals to their base, which is also fascist. But they also know that the voters on the left and even the voters in the middle really don't like fascism. So they sit there and they promote fascism. They talk about Latinos, right? You know, Mexicans being effing Mexicans. They call Puerto Ricans garbage. And then the next day, because they've now given red meat to their fascist supporters, they then turn around and deny it and say, it's lies, that never happened, as if we're living in 1984, as if we're living in an era where the government can just change the news and make a lie the truth. Now, the problem is, thank you, adventurers, on the Republican side, that's exactly what happens. You get Donald Trump and he lies every day pathologically. You get Fox News, they lie, right? The Republican news outlets lie every day. It is literally 1984. One day they will tell you one thing, Trump changes his mind. The next day they will tell you something else. So this is in the context of that, of Donald Trump saying that he's going to do to women whatever he likes, whether they like it or not. It is in the context of Donald Trump not respecting women's bodies and not respecting women's choices, as Kamala Harris said. Thank you, Adventures. It is Halloween, Maryland, and this is my Donald Trump wig. She goes, I like the show, but what's up with the wig? It's my Donald Trump wig. It's Halloween. All right. Harris and her allies. This is interesting. Kamala Harris is and her allies are sending out mailers in Michigan. Michigan is a very significant state for African Americans, Black people, but also Arab and Muslim Americans too. Kamala Harris sent out a mailer appealing to Arab and Muslim Americans, saying just last month, Donald Trump said he would ban Muslims from traveling to the U.S. and also ban refugees from Gaza. One of the mailers said. Further down, the mailer says Trump is no friend to Arab Americans, with one of the examples being his comment that he would let Israel finish the job in Gaza. Yeah, we've talked about this. Now let's talk about some of the polls. Georgia. These we're going to talk about some of the key states. What the accordion is like Judy, what's her face, who died. I love that comedian. Dulce is saying I need an accordion. That's right, because Trump talks with his hands. It looks like an accordion. Remember Judy? What was her name? Where she was like, oh, and she kind of talks like this. And she was the funniest damn comedian. I loved her, but she recently died. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Lise. Tuna. I think it is Tuna. Was it like Tuna something? Judy Tenuta. That's it. Judy. It wasn't Lisa. Judy Tenuta. That was it. Funniest damn comedian ever. And she had an accordion and she would do jokes with the accordion. Thank you, Taylor. Actually, it covers the hair nicely too. She was just a great comedian. So let's talk about some of the election polls. So I've talked about this before, but just as a reminder, in the US, you've got to look at the individual states, not just the national polls, because you do not win the presidency based on winning the national polls. Hillary Clinton, for example, won the election by 3 million votes. She lost the election. Al Gore won the election by 500,000 votes. He lost the election. Because in America, you don't win by getting the most votes. You win by getting the most points. Basically, each state is assigned a certain number of points based on the size of its population. So Washington, D.C., even though it's not a state, has 3 points. Alaska, I believe, has 3 points as well. Illinois, where I am right now, I forget, it may be in the upper teens. Anybody from Illinois remember? Is it 17, 18, 19, something like that? California has 54 points because it's a huge population. It's the most populous state in America. Well, what happens is the election takes place and each state, Illinois is 19, thank you, Mel. Each state, based on who gets the majority vote in that state, couple exceptions, but for the most part, who gets the majority in the state gets all the points for that state. So if you get 50.1% of the vote in Illinois, you get 19 points. If you get 50.1% of the votes in California, you get 54 points, winner take all in most of the states. You've got to get 270 points. Thank you, Taylor. You got to get 270 points to become president. This is why, thank you, Flower Lady, for the witch gift, very Halloweenish. You have to get, and right, Nebraska and Maine, as Typhoon just said on TikTok, are sort of the two different ones. It is the Electoral College, Howie, but I think it is far more confusing to use the actual terminology for people. So basically, the easier way to think of it is each state has a certain number of points allotted to it. And when you win that state, you get the points and you need 270 points to become president. That is why it doesn't matter how many votes you get nationally, right? California has the biggest population of any state. You could get 50.1% of California and win. You could get 99% of California votes and win California. Those extra votes don't help you, right? Because you would have gotten California's 54 points anyway. So all of a sudden, you're getting millions of more votes that are making it look like, oh, you're doing even better. But you're not doing better. You already won California. It doesn't matter if you get millions of more votes in California. Anyway, that's why we talk about specific states when looking at the American elections. We always talk about the battleground, the important states, the states that both Trump and Kamala Harris need. That's why. Anyway, okay. So, next week, you have no idea. Oh my God, Stanford. This is funny. Stanford, I'm going to be rich next week if Donald Trump wins. Are you kidding me? The Republican trolls are going, I hope you lose I'm so glad you're going to lose your platform next week. He thinks Trump's going to win. If Trump wins, I'm going to like have enough money to retire. And I don't want him to win. But what the trolls don't realize is those of us who do this for a living, it is much more popular. We get a bigger audience. We get bigger donations when we are fighting evil. When I have to sit here and criticize Joe Biden and Joe Biden being bad on Ukraine, in many ways he is, what does that do? That makes you depressed, right? It makes some people not want to watch anymore. It is very difficult as a pundit to basically talk to people who tend to be of the party in power, because sometimes that party is going to be doing good things, sometimes they're doing bad things, and it can get very depressing. If you have Donald Trump as the leader, it's going to piss people off, but they're going to rally. You'll be pissed eventually. You'll be pissed initially, but you're going to rally, and you're going to do everything you can to stop that guy. And I'm telling you, shows like mine, way more lucrative, way more popular when Donald Trump is president. But I got news for you. Unlike Donald Trump, I care more about my country than a dollar bill. So I hope the man loses. Any case, let's move on. But thank you, mods, for getting, because the clear troll. But I love when the trolls. It's important to explain this to the trolls because they think they're mocking us, and it's like, no, exactly. Country over party. I would say country over self as well, Reyes, because yeah, I'd make more money if Trump becomes president, but I'd rather save my country and I'd rather live free because that's kind of the nature of who I am. And that's the nature of, I think, who all of us are, really. So let's get into the individual states. I will tell you right now, it's a tie. It's still a tie. Georgia, one of the key states. Likely voters in Georgia divide 48% for Trump, 47% for Harris, within the margin of error. This is an important point as well. I'm going to give you some polls below that tell you what the margin of error is. Margin of error is when they do polls, they know they're not 100% right, okay? And they give you a margin and they say, well, these are the results we've got, but there's a margin of maybe 3 percentage points. Meaning, if they're within 3 percentage points, it's a tie. So like if Trump is 41 and Harris is 43, that's not Harris winning by 2, it's a tie, because the margin of error is 3, and that's only a 2-point difference. So it means the result we give you could be off 3%, one way or the other. That's not a small amount, right? So Trump in Georgia is ahead 48-47. That's a tie, because the margin of error in Georgia, I'll bet you, is around 3%. Pennsylvania, Fox News has Trump at 48, Harris at 48. What's the margin of error? Plus or minus 3 points. They're tied. But that means either one of them could be 3 points up or 3 points down. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. University of Massachusetts, Pennsylvania still. Harris 48, Trump 47. Margin of error 3.7. But again, interesting that they're all ties. What's interesting to me is either all the polls are equally wrong or they're all equally right, because they're all showing ties. And they're consistently showing ties, which is interesting. Michigan, another key state. Fox News poll, Harris has 48%, Trump 46%, again, plus or minus 3% error. It's a tie. University of Massachusetts poll, Harris 49, Trump 45. Even that's a statistical tie. The margin of error is plus or minus 4.49 points. Okay? So it's still better that Harris is 4 points ahead, but statistically, it's still a tie. What else we got? Washington Post. Was this Nevada? Hold on, this again. Not Nevada, Michigan. Washington Post for Michigan. Harris 47, Trump 46. North Carolina, Trump 49, Harris 47. Again, statistical tie. University of Massachusetts poll, North Carolina. Trump 47, Harris 45. Tie, statistically. CNN, Harris 48, Trump 47 in North Carolina. Tie. This is what's so difficult with all of this. I don't know how you break it, Princess. There shouldn't be a tie. Donald Trump is a horrible human being. He's proven it to us. He's a horrible human being. He's a horrible American. He's a horrible Christian. He's a convicted felon. He tried to violently overthrow the government and then lied about losing the election. And that right there is enough right there to not put the man back in office. He's obviously a horrible human being. He's obviously not a very educated human being. He's not very smart. He's a little crazy. He's also clearly losing his mind now. He wanted to start a war with China after he lost the election. I mean, that whole thing, we were going to get into a nuclear war with China, guys. We're risking because Trump lost the election, was going crazy. That was that whole story that everyone's forgotten, right? He's a convicted felon 34 times over. He stole classified information. He called our troops suckers and losers. He called a Mexican-American soldier who was murdered an effing Mexican. He called Puerto Rico an island of garbage. He's called Haitians, he called Haiti a shithole country. Might as well say it. I mean, disgusting what this man has done. And half the country still likes him. You know, half the country still likes him. He is a liar, Bets. You're right. Everything the man says is a lie. He told, was it 20 or 30,000 lies during his entire presidency, the Washington Post counted. 20 to 30,000 lies. And by the way, unlike Republican voters, all the rest of us are actually like educated, well-informed. And when you say lies, we literally know what we saw. We were there. I was in Washington on January 6th. I saw the barricades. I saw the news of how you people tried to violently overthrow my government like terrorists. So you say lies, except we know what you did. We saw what you did. And we know what you're going to do because, like just today, you promised today, your Speaker of the House promised today, you were going to take away my health care, Obamacare. Again, that's the problem. You guys say lies, but you're a little too big with your mouths. And you tell people you're so proud of your extremism, especially Donald Trump. You're so proud of your extremism that you come out and you say it. And then people know, like Donald Trump saying he's going to save women, protect women, whether they like it or not. Yeah. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you, MNJ. Stop the Steal people are back. So Trump's domestic terrorists on January 6th were aided by a movement that basically, thank you, Marshall, was set up to claim falsely that the election was stolen. And they're back. They're doing it again already. It was his Stop the Steal movement. Thank you, Mrs. Toad. This is from CNN. The Stop the Steal movement has reemerged in force with some of the same activists who tried to overturn former President Trump's 2020 loss, outlining a step-by-step guide to undermine the results of the election if he falls short again. For months, those activists who have been priming Trump supporters to believe the only way the former president can lose in 2024 is through fraud have laid out proposals to thwart a potential Kamala Harris victory. Their plans include challenging results in court, pressuring lawmakers to block the election certification, and encouraging protests. Listen to this. Culminating on January 6th, 2025, the day Congress will once again certify results. They're planning another raid on the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, the last terrorist attack they did. Quote unquote, I have a plan and a strategy, Ivan Raiklin, a former Green Beret and political operative who has close ties to associates of Trump, told a group of Pennsylvania activists earlier this month. And then January 6th is going to be pretty fun, he said. Trump's allies and the former president himself are increasingly pushing debunked claims of voter fraud, spreading their rhetoric through podcasts with massive audience, megachurch sermons and political rallies in key states. Some Trump backers, including pastors associated with Christian nationalist ideas, have described the election as a fight between good and evil, describing Harris as the Antichrist, or suggesting that God has anointed Trump as the victor. Yeah, let's say something here. A lot of us grew up studying our scripture. We learned about the Antichrist. The Antichrist, from what I remember, was going to be a businessman. That was what everyone assumed. He was going to be a businessman. He was going to be somebody with a lot of money, known around the world. And he was going to be a businessman, a corporate executive who gets into politics and then lies to people and tricks them and cheats them. Does that sound like Kamala Harris, the prosecutor? Or does that sound like Donald Trump, the businessman who's a pathological liar and who has a record a mile long of doing things that violate pretty much, I think I figured Trump violated like 9 of the 10 commandments. He hasn't killed anybody that we know of, but pretty much every other commandment the man has violated. But it always kind of cracks me up when they say Kamala Harris is the Antichrist. I got news for you. The other guy, and also the protection of God. Why does it have to be the protection of God that saved Trump? Why couldn't it be the protection of somebody else? God isn't the only being out there, if you believe in God, right? Satan's out there. He has influence. We know that. Why couldn't he decide to save somebody that he found important? I mean, again, they're the ones. I think this is all, I mean, kind of ridiculous to some degree, but they're the ones that want to have the discussion about the Antichrist. Which candidate's the Antichrist? And I got news for you. If you want to have a conversation, Trump supporters, about which candidate's the Antichrist, thank you, Hedge. It ain't Kamala Harris who fits the description. Let's just put it that way. JD Vance. So JD Vance has decided to pick on the weakest among us again. Big surprise when he's not racistly going after black people and saying that black people eat cats and dogs. Thank you, Chazak. Oh, that actually kind of worked with the hair. That was pretty good, actually. JD Vance is now, Republicans have been attacking trans people, actually, left and right. I've talked about this before. It's really kind of despicable. It is the nature of fascism, as we talked about. It is about the government using its own power, but also the mass hatred of the people to go after specific enemies. And basically, they try to, rather than addressing the problems of the people, economic, whatever it is, they actually just pick enemies like Jews in World War II and blame it on them. Right. And we now have the Republicans, and Trump especially has decided over the last several months, they're going to demonize transgender people. I've said before, transgender rights, I support transgender rights. Not all of them, to be honest. The sports issue, very complicated. And I don't even want to say trans people get upset about that. I think there are a number of trans people who are quite reasonable and admit the sports issue, very complicated, right? But generally speaking, they're human beings. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Dawn. They're human beings, right? They deserve equal civil rights like everybody else. They're different. Yeah, get over it. We're all different. Who the hell cares, right? Why do you care so much? Well, the Republicans have decided that one of the ways they're going to win the election is by demonizing transgender people left and right, which is very offensive. Again, and they do it because transgender people are weak, and they hope transgender people will freak out Americans, so that they're literally using, the weakest among us in terms of politically weakest. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you, Lola. Thank you, Fred. In order to beat them publicly, the weakest among us, and mock them and politicize their plight. It can't be. I mean, let's face it, guys. It can't be easy being transgender. You know what I mean? I'm gay. Being gay was not easy, but at least being gay, like sometimes people know I'm gay. A lot of times people don't, right? Like at least I could pass sometimes, as we say. If you're trans, it's a lot harder, especially if you're a trans woman. And again, I will get the terminology wrong because it's impossible to get the terminology right for trans activists, but basically, men who transition to women. I know the language is wrong. I'm never going to get it right, but you all know what I mean. It is very hard for someone who grew up with testosterone to look like a woman. It is much easier for a woman who grew up with estrogen to take testosterone and then her body changes and she looks like a man. So for trans people who are trans women, it's really hard for them to hide. And imagine every day you are out there. And, right, the Adam's apple. I mean, there's a lot of male features that are hard to get rid of. You are out there every day and people look at you and they immediately know who you are. They immediately know what you are. That is not an easy existence, right? And the Republicans have decided to make fun of it and to use it for their own political game. So here's what JD Vance is doing now, who's just one of the worst people ever. Listen to this. JD Vance says kids are becoming transgender to get accepted to Harvard. Republican vice presidential candidate JD Vance suggested in an interview that, in a podcast with Joe Rogan, figures that aired Thursday, that white upper and middle class children are incentivized to identify as transgender to gain admission to elite colleges. I'm like reading this going, oh, I have to read more. Think about the incentives, Vance said. If you're a, middle class or upper middle class white parent, and the only thing that you care about is whether your child goes into Harvard or Yale, like obviously that pathway has become a lot harder for a lot of middle class kids. But the one way that those people can participate in the, bureaucracy in this country is to be trans. And is there a dynamic that's going on where if you become trans, that is the way to reject your white privilege? That's the social signifier. That's only one. The only one that's available in the hyper woke mindset is if you become gender non-binary. By the way, I'm not a huge fan of the 50, 10,000 gender thing. I think it's a little hokey, but whatever. From what I know, being gender non-binary is not being transgender. I don't think that's trans. I'm pretty sure it's not. But nonetheless, JD Vance thinks kids are they're lying and becoming trans to get into Harvard? Like, really? I mean, again, these people are extremists, guys. And this is what I say to young people too. Young people care about these issues. They care about trans people. They care about civil rights. They care about their friends. This is literally who you're electing to power if you vote for Trump and these guys, right? They're people who attack women, women's right to choose. Women are already losing the right to abortion in 20 states because of Republicans, so they want a nationwide ban on abortion. Okay, they want to demonize and attack transgender people every day. If you care about Gaza, you can kiss Gaza goodbye with Donald Trump. As Kamala Harris has said, Donald Trump said Israel's done a great job. Donald Trump's biggest complaint about Gaza is he said the other day, Joe Biden was holding Israel back. Joe Biden wasn't letting Israel do what it really needs to do to blow up Gaza, Trump said. Okay? You think Trump isn't going to be worse than Biden? Really? Trump wants to literally ban Muslims from coming in the U.S. He tried it once. Trump wants to ban refugees from Gaza from coming into the U.S. I mean, as Maya Angelou, I think, who I'd met once, cool woman, very cool woman, famous American poet, had said once very famously, believe who someone is the first time they tell you. Meaning, when you have a bad experience with someone and you go, this person sucks, right? Because of X, Y, and Z, believe them, right? Don't sit there and go, well, maybe they're not a fascist. Maybe they're not a sexist, a misogynist, right? Maybe they don't hate women. Maybe they're not going to ban Muslims again, right? Maybe this time he's going to be nice to Muslims and Arabs, even though last time he literally banned Muslims from coming to the country, even though he's promised this time he's going to ban Muslims, actually anybody from Gaza from coming, even though this time he talked about literally kicking you people out of the country. Trump said that the people protesting on behalf of Gaza, he was going to kick them out of the country if they were here. Anybody other than a native-born American, if you weren't born in America and you protested on behalf of Gaza, Trump said he was going to kick you out. You tell me that Donald Trump isn't worse than Kamala Harris on Gaza. You tell me that. I mean, this should be easy at this point, this election. Oh, yeah. Tired Guy just said what the guy said to Mehdi Hassan the other day on CNN. Mehdi Hassan is difficult. He's a very smart, I don't know, is he Arab or Muslim American? I forget which he is. He's not American. He's British. Maybe he's American now, but he's British. Arab or Muslim or both. I don't know. I forget, where's he from? Somebody correct me here, or somebody help me here. Where's Mehdi ethnicity from? I mean, where was he? Where are his people from? He's British though. But he goes on. He's very smart, very educated, very British educated. So very like boom, 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 right? But Mehdi is kind of an activist sometimes and drives me a little crazy. I feel like sometimes you can't totally trust what Mehdi says. But nonetheless, oh, is he Palestinian? Very interesting. Is he Palestinian, Squirrely? Very interesting. Okay. So Mehdi goes on this show on CNN. And CNN lately has been doing this roundtable. And it's kind of a nasty roundtable. I don't quite know why they do it. It's people, especially the Republicans on the roundtable, they're just nasty. They pick a Republican who previously worked for, help me out here. Who did the guy previously work for? Help me out. It was somebody horrible who the guy had worked for like 5 years ago. Help me. Somebody there knows what I'm talking about. This guy gets there and in the middle of, and he's taking the, pro-Israeli side versus Mehdi that's taking the pro-Palestinian side. And the guy says to him something about the guy who talked to Mehdi, Google it. The guy who was talking to Mehdi worked for somebody horrific 5 years before. Google it. You'll see what I'm talking about. And I'm talking horrific. I'm not talking Steve Bannon. Google it. Thank you, Mustard. The guy turns to Mehdi and says something to the effect of, you're lucky if your pager doesn't blow up, or something weird like that. He's talking about the fact that Israel, and I defend Israel for this because I think it was a brilliant operation, but that doesn't mean you talk about killing Mehdi. He was talking about that Israel about a month ago. Yeah, you're lucky your beeper doesn't go, your pager doesn't go off. Israel about a month ago killed like a ton of Hezbollah terrorists by making their pagers blow up, their beepers. Kind of amazing. I mean, kind of amazing what they did. It was an amazing feat. Whether you like it or not, but it was kind of amazing. He was referring to that. He was telling Mehdi, I didn't think he was Palestinian. I didn't think so. His parents were Indian Shia Muslims. Okay, thank you. I didn't think he was Palestinian. He was basically telling Mehdi, you're lucky we don't kill you, right? I mean, it was sickening. I mean, it was absolutely sickening what this guy said. He was representing Trump and the Republicans, basically, on that panel, Trump's point of view and the Republican point of view. And CNN did, fortunately, step in, take him off the show, say he's never invited back, issue an apology, etc. But this is who these guys are. This is who they are, you know? Yeah, somebody needs to Google what I was talking about, who that guy is, who said it, and who he worked for 5 years ago. It was horrific who he worked for. Google it. Don't guess. Google it and come back. All right. Trump just said, Trump just said that Harris voters are low quality people and dumber than Trump supporters. RFK Jr. Oh, here we go. So conspiracy theorist Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who I have a problem with because he's literally a vaccine conspiracy theorist who believes that no vaccines are safe and no vaccines are effective. None, he thinks. He believes that the polio vaccine doesn't work, he believes. His organization put out a whole thing about this. Polio vaccine doesn't work. Polio isn't even caused by polio, he says. And that's why the vaccine doesn't work. It's caused by toxins. Except for the last 70 years, the polio vaccine, 72 years, the polio vaccine has literally saved millions of children from losing the use of their legs, right? I mean, polio has been remarkable what polio has pulled off. Remarkable what they pulled off. So RFK Jr., Trump is planning to let RFK Jr. basically get involved in yanking vaccines now, vaccines that work. Listen to this. The co-chair of the Trump-Vance transition team on Wednesday night endorsed vaccine conspiracy theories pushed by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and suggested the activist and Trump ally would be given federal data in order to check vaccine safety if Trump is elected. Speaking to CNN's Caitlin Collins, Howard Lutnick, who's the big Trump aide, I shouldn't say supporter, Trump aide responsible for staffing the administration, said he recently spent 2.5 hours with Kennedy and said Kennedy is not getting a job for the Department of Health and Human Services, which is contrary to a claim the activist made earlier this week in which he said Trump promised to give him control of several public health agencies, HHS among them. Trump said earlier this week, and by the way, forget what this guy is saying. Thank you, Yvette. Thank you, Jedi. Trump promised earlier this week he's going to make a Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who believes no vaccines are safe, no vaccines are effective, who is a conspiracy theorist. He's going to put him in charge of the Department of Health and Human Services and other health agencies, meaning the FDA as well. People that literally make our drugs. A crazy man who believes in conspiracies, who thinks that polio isn't caused by polio and that the polio vaccine doesn't work, who literally said last summer he worked for Richard Spencer. That's exactly who it was, Mandabear. That's exactly who it was. This guy worked for Richard Spencer, I believe, the one who yelled at Mehdi, who's a white supremacist. I mean, that's how bad it was that CNN let this guy on the show. Yep, that was it. That was it. You're right. In any case, back to Trump letting Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Kill our vaccines. Let me see here. Beep, 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 beep. He says, Robert F. Kennedy said, if you give me the data, all I want is the data, and I'll take on the data and show that these vaccines aren't safe. And then if you pull the product liability protections, the companies will yank these vaccines right off the market. He wants to yank safe vaccines off the market. He's already said not a single vaccine is safe, proven safe. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said, not a single vaccine. He also said not a single vaccine was proven effective. Not a single, right? All right, we'll go on here. Deep. Oh, so Trump went back to talking about the enemy within today. This was kind of a great little article in the Washington Post. Thank you, Heidi. The Washington Post, this is itching like crazy. The Washington Post today talked about how Trump's Republicans are trying to clear up Trump's screw up the other day. Trump talked about using the military to basically kill Americans. He was going to use the military to purge American citizens he disagrees with. The American military, he mentioned Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, politicians he hates, Joe Biden, and he was going to literally use the military to get them, kill them, arrest them, I don't know what, right? And he called them the enemy within, which is a Stalinist word. It's from the Soviet Union. It's also from Nazi Germany, really. It's from both places. And the Republicans have been pushing back, going, oh, Trump wasn't talking about Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. He wasn't talking about using the military to kill American citizens. He was just saying that they would go after illegal immigrants who are violent or some such thing, right? Trump today goes, no, that's not what I'm saying. Listen to this. After Trump said some GOP leaders suggested the former president was talking about undocumented immigrants, but Trump keeps underscoring that he views Democratic politicians as the enemy within. In Albuquerque today, New Mexico, Trump warned rally goers about the enemy inside, named Representative Adam Schiff of California, and called people like him total scum. So while Republicans are trying to say that Trump is not going to use the U.S. military to go after American citizens, Trump said, they're lying. I'm going to use the U.S. military to go after Republican congressman who's about to become a senator who I don't like because he's a critic of Trump. That is fascism. That is fascism. That is the death of democracy. And CNN, actually, Wall Street Journal, CNN, a number of papers. I always love this topic because it makes our trolls get very upset. A number of papers today gave a lot of detail on how the American economy is basically the envy of the world. Americans in polls don't believe it. Sadly, they're uneducated. I mean, what do you want me to say? You believe something that isn't true. That's your problem. That's not my problem. CNN was going on about it. Wall Street Journal was going on about it. A few of these jobs. The biggest indicator of economic security is whether or not you have a job, and a historically high percentage of people in America do. Even though the unemployment rate has been ticking higher over the past year at 4.1%, it remains at a very healthy level, rising incrementally from the lowest unemployment rate since the first moon landing. And the U.S. economy remains a job creation machine, adding 368,000 jobs per month on an average during Biden's administration, a record high. Gross domestic product, GDP, which is economic growth. The broadest measure of the U.S. economy is booming, according to CNN and according to Wall Street Journal, mind you. Gross domestic product grew at a seasonally adjusted annualized rate of 2.8% last quarter. That's a healthy pace by any measure, and it's on par with the economic expansion during the Trump administration. It's the same growth Trump had. But when it happens to Biden, everybody goes, nah, the economy's bad. Thank you, Larry, for the gift. A little bit more. It has also made America's economy the envy of the world. Projected U.S. economic growth for this year remains the strongest of any of the G7 economies. The G7 economies are the largest economies in the world of democracies, and the U.S. has the best growth of any of them. Finally, paychecks, workers' paychecks aren't booming like they were a couple years ago when inflation was off the rails, but they're still growing at a 3.9% adjusted rate. That is far faster than inflation, which means the amount of money Americans have to spend is growing. Inflation, what you want is you want your paycheck to grow more than inflation. So even if inflation is bad, you're making more money. What this is saying is people are making more money than inflation. And inflation, by the way, is gone too. Inflation's down to like 2% now. Inflation's gone. But the Republicans lie exceedingly well. Our voters are sadly very uninformed. And the polls, one of my favorite polls, because everybody goes, it's not true, the economy's bad. Well, sadly, you don't get to make up your own statistics about the economy. It doesn't really matter. The economy isn't really good or bad based on how you feel, right? It's based on the numbers. But my favorite number was hey Daniel. My favorite number was they polled Americans about the stock market and said, how do you think the stock market is doing? And I'm forgetting the exact number, but it was under 50%. or I should say well over 50% said the stock market was doing horribly. Like a large majority of Americans thought the stock market was doing horribly. Our stock market is at the highest point in all of history right now. But the polls show a majority of Americans think it's doing terribly. That is not, that kind of shows you don't know what you're talking about. It kind of shows the voters are idiots, frankly. It's just hard to sort of come up with anything else. You know what I mean? That like you're voting based on nonsense, based on lies. The stock market, especially, you can argue about the economy all you want, but the stock market, like it either is or isn't up, right? The stock market is either right at 40,000 or it's not. There's no debate about the stock market. It's a raw number, how much stocks cost. And they are at the highest level in all of history. And the majority of voters think the market's crashing because they're stupid. And I don't know what else to say. They're gullible. They don't investigate the truth. It's really fucked up. It really is. But this comes to the fact of the socialism too. Not the socialism, but of why is it that, not the fascism, I should say, not the socialism. Why is it that I think a lot of voters are garbage, Massimo? Yeah. Are you kidding? If you support fascism, you are garbage. If you support violently overthrowing the government, you're garbage. If you support a felon who's convicted 34 times for president, you're garbage. Yeah. If you support violently assaulting women, you're garbage. Yeah. Yeah. If you support calling Mexicans effing Mexicans, you're garbage. If you support calling Puerto Rico an island of garbage, you're the one who's garbage. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just not debatable. It's not debatable, you know? Anyway, yeah, that's it for the news. Okay. I don't know how Trump deals with wearing all of his wigs. They hurt. They itch my head. They itch my head. They itch my head. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Woof. Anyway, that was my Trump wig, my Trumpy wig. Woof. Like I said, it was itching. Now it's much better now. All right. Now I go back to Anderson Cooper hair. No, from my Trump hair to my Anderson Cooper hair. Oh, it is itchy. It's like, yay. Oh, thank you for the flowers, KT. Keep the gifts coming, guys. I would have to have Ashley or some woman who knows how to adjust hair come and adjust my wig because I just can't do it. I've tried. It's very difficult. Apparently you can wash it and set it, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to wash this wig and set it to look more like Trump. Although if Trump wins the election, I may have to. I'm going to have to get the wig. Thank you, Leah, for the gift. I'm going to have to get the wig working better. If Trump becomes president again, I'm going to need my wig. What do you do? You know, so c'est la vie. Anyway, oh my God. Oh, a skull cap. Is that what people do is that why they wear those skull caps under like fake hair and stuff? Because it's not as itchy. I had home on Saturday. Yes. So anyway, what's going on, guys? This is our hangout period now. They should, Tired Guy. Tired Guy says the Dems should have been out taking victory laps whenever they had a win, whatever it came to for the economy or in general, but they remained silent. The problem is, and this isn't entirely wrong, when voters are wrong about something, it is dangerous to tell them that they're wrong, right? Thank you for running on coffee. If voters feel that the economy is terrible and I'm suffering, if you tell them they're not suffering, they think you're out of touch. They don't realize they're just being stupid. Many of them, they think you're out of touch. So it becomes very dangerous for politicians to have to do that. Now, having said that, Donald Trump would have spent every day of the last 4 years talking about how great the economy was. What Trump would have done for inflation, he would have been, let's pretend Trump won. Let's pretend Biden was president, the previous 4 years, and Trump was president these 4 years. Trump would have blamed Joe Biden for inflation. He would have blamed Joe Biden for COVID. He would have said the economy's doing great, gross domestic product, right? Economic growth, unemployment, wage growth. The only problem we're having is inflation. And that's because of the guy before me, Joe Biden. He ignored COVID. He caused the actual disruptions in supply that have made prices go up. And he's the reason, right? And Trump would have said it every day and people would have gone, you're right. That bad man before, we had a great economy except that bad man before screwed it up. But Democrats don't do that, because Democrats suck at messaging. Yeah, no Ukraine news today. There isn't, because the elections are on the corner, we're doing election. But also, the only big Ukraine news today is there's now 8,000 North Korean troops in Russia's Kursk region, which is on the border with Ukraine, that the Ukrainians have taken over, trying to get the land back for the Russians. So, and Trump did incite violence. He did. Yeah, Trump tried to violently overturn the election. I mean, this is the thing too. Like, you just don't really need to argue much else, right? Anybody is more fit to be president than Donald Trump, and you should be embarrassed if you're voting for him. So, yeah, not true. There's another. Yeah, not true, because all of us didn't see you people attack the Capitol, injure, assault 140 police officers, including the one that you crushed in a doorway and the one that you took the American flagpole and beat the guy. All of us didn't see the cops who committed suicide as a result of your attack that day. We didn't see the video of the vice president hiding in the U.S. Senate because you domestic terrorists were in the building trying to kill him, quote unquote. You were going to lynch him, and you built a lynch, what do you call it, podium outside to hang the man. Right, total lies. Because none of us literally saw you people that day transfixed to our TV watching you domestic terrorists try to take over our country. A lie. A gallows. Thank you. A gallows. Yeah, exactly. Like it wasn't televised or something. No, but this is what they do. This is what fascism does. It is 1984. It's what they do. They literally sit there and say, right, we were never at war. We are at war with Eurasia. We were never at war with Eurasia. Right? Right? I mean, Donald Trump, he switches from whatever side he's on. He just switches, and all of the little lemming minions go, okay, yeah, you're right. We no longer believe this. Now we believe this. You're right. Thank you, Donald. Thank you, Paul, for the gifts. It's bad. It's very bad. Yeah, 10-minute hate. Yeah, not even the 2-minute hate. Actually, that was the 2-hour hate, really. Yeah, people smeared shit on the walls. Exactly. They were peaceful protesters who smeared shit on the walls and literally assaulted 140 cops. And again, 3 or 4 of the cops committed suicide as a result of what they went through that day. Remember, we all saw the guy that was being beaten with the flag, right? With the flagpole. We all saw the guy crushed in the door because they had cameras on him screaming. He's being crushed to death in a doorway by all the Trump supporters. I mean, yeah, really. Lie like we weren't there. But again, in their party, in the MAGA party, you can lie to people because people are gullible. They don't care about the truth. They don't check the truth. They don't fact check, and they believe anything they're told. So they tell them it's a lie, and they all go, oh, okay, it's a lie. Yeah, you're right. Must be, because I was told it was a lie. Amazing. Hey, Noah. Oh, man. Very upsetting. Very upsetting. Thank you, Randy, friend Hazel. Oh, man. Oh, thank you for the gift, Randy Fred. Oh, NJ Patman. Excellent. Oh, you're right. They threw a fire extinguisher at the police. I forgot about that. Yep. Yeah. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. My nephew's trying to call. He should know. Well, he probably thought my show was just over. I'll get it in a second. I got him. Savannah. I saw your comment and went, ruh-roh. I'm going to message my nephew and say, still on the show, done shortly. Oh, someone's at the front door, which is my nephew trying to get in. Hold on. Probably not the trick-or-treaters unless somebody stole all our candy, which is entirely possible. Oh, hello. Oh, people stop. All right, people stole our candy. I'll get you guys more candy. 1 second. Yeah. Stay there. That's annoying. Well, that kind of sucks. Here, grab a couple of these. I got candy. I was working for an hour. I stole it. Reese's in there. They're my favorite, but whatever. Cool. There you go. See that? I should grab the bowl. All right. So yes, somebody stole all our candy. Thank God I put a small bowl out. I put a small bowl during the show, but it was a big enough bowl. People stole all the candy. So I have a backup, thank God. So anyway. But they were it was very sweet. They were all like, I would say they were young African-American kids who were maybe young high school. Like I'd say junior high and high school, and they were like the sweetest kids. I like kids who come up and they're like, thank you very much. Every single one of them was like, thank you. It was very cute. I like polite kids. I think I'm getting too old. They were in costume. Yep. Nothing complicated, but scary masks and stuff. I mentioned their race for a reason, Simply Live, because in America, there is a perception that young Black kids, especially teenagers, are bad. You might have heard, for example, from Donald Trump talking about Black people in America. So I think it's important to mention when you see these kids who were frankly more polite than the white kids who came to the door. I think that matters. And I think it's kind of nice to point it out. I pointed it out on purpose for that reason. Yeah, because they were like the most polite kids that have ever come to the door in trick-or-treating. It was incredibly refreshing. And it's nice to see. Also, because I'm a civil rights activist and I believe in kind of countering stereotypes. It's something that I do, and I've done a lot being gay. Like I always tell people, you get out there and you put on your best suit and you get out there and you show people that you're the best person on the planet. And that's exactly what these kids are doing, frankly. So anyway, whatever. Let me tell my nephew, still on my show. What up? All right. Since he was trying to call. Anyway, but it was very cute. Like I said, thank you, sir. Thank you. It was just like the sweetest. It was this, but I can't believe I put out this whole bowl. There's no way this whole bowl was taken in the last hour. No way. Somebody emptied it out. My sister had warned me that the kids do that. So I put a lot, but I didn't put, most of the candy I've still got here. So, oh, hey, Larry, I did not realize that. Thank you, High Tide. Oh, I see our crazy person's back. Yeah, coming from the party calling Black people. Yeah. Our little Republican troll is back saying Democrats are the racists. You people literally called Puerto Rico a pile of garbage this week, right? You people literally called Black people, joked about Black people and watermelons, which is like one of the worst, most racist insults in American history. You people literally claimed that Black people eat cats and dogs. So tell us again how you people, how we're the racists. You people are like as racist as it gets. Oh, there we go. That was my button because I forgot to actually hit you with the rest of this. Well, somebody stole the candy while I was doing the show. I put a big enough container of candy out that I wouldn't get interrupted, and somebody took it all. So it's like, they are the party of hate, Ladybug. Republicans, absolutely. Obviously they are. Why would you say people are Puerto Ricans are a pile of garbage? Who would say that? Hateful people say that. Hateful people call Mexicans. What was Trump called Mexicans? Rapists and felons and thugs. Before he called them an effing Mexican. Before he said Puerto Ricans were garbage. Before he suggested that Black people, joke about watermelons. I mean, before they said that Haitians, of course they said it because they're Black. Trump and J.D. Vance said Haitians eat cats and dogs and are stealing the cats and dogs of their American neighbors. Disgusting. It's all racist. Disgusting racism. But that's what MAGA is, unfortunately. Yeah. Hey, yeah. My dog's whining. She wants attention now. Oh, I think Alex says, what's your opinion on past Republicans like Eisenhower? Republicans were not always crazy, right? I mean, even Ronald Reagan, foreign policy, I like a lot of what Reagan did on foreign policy. Domestic policy, forget it. Foreign policy, with standing up to the Russians, hats off to Russia, to Reagan on that one. Domestic policy, not so much. George Bush, the father, good president. I mean, problems with the economy and everything else, but good Republican, good man. Again, you could disagree. If you're a Democrat, you might not like his policies, right? But he wasn't evil. He wasn't bad. He wasn't an extremist. George Bush, the son, had his issues, right? Lying about Iraq wasn't great. But Donald Trump is unique. I mean, Donald Trump is unique. The problem is whether Trump has now set up a sort of culture where we get this sort of fascism in each Republican candidate as we go on. That's the bad thing. I'm going to sit here and I'm literally going to eat candy while I'm talking to you. This is terrible. Reagan was terrible on AIDS and LGBT stuff. On everything domestic, Reagan was terrible. On foreign policy with the Soviet Union, he was amazing. Twix. Oh, Kit Kat. Kit Kat. They're good. I don't ever buy Kit Kats, but they're awfully good. Wow. I didn't have Snickers in here, unfortunately. I wanted them, but I wanted to buy a bigger bag, and the bigger bag didn't have Snickers. I will say, all the candy, I think I'm getting too old. All the candy is a little too sweet. Like, that Kit Kat was very good, but it's very sweet. Japanese lately, I don't know Japanese candy at all. White Kit Kats, that's interesting. These Rolos are good, however. The one thing I don't like is they put Whoppers in here, malted milk balls. Okay, am I crazy? Who the hell wants a malted milk ball? Like, who wants that, right? What child wants a malted milk ball? That one I don't understand. There's Milk Duds. I mean, Hershey's, pretty shitty chocolate, but kids like it. Marie likes it. Okay, Marie likes a malted milk ball. And actually, the other thing that's very good here is this Rolo thing that I never was aware that basically I think it's caramel and chocolate. It makes me very happy. I don't want to eat too many of these things, but I think it's caramel and chocolate, which is very good. Yes. Rolo's good. Yep. It's almost a little bit of a Snickers. It's like Snickers without nuts. It's sweet. It's not as sweet as that other one I just had. You like malted? Well, we got a whole bunch of them here for you. Milky Way is not my favorite. I'd have to try it again. I never liked Milky Ways much, but who knows? Anyway, that was good. That was good. We get Cadbury's here. My sister's calling now too. Okay, what is going on? Hold on. They're calling me like, oh, sorry. They're calling to see if I want pizza. Okay, you know what? Let me get going, guys. Let me get going because I think they're getting pizza at my sister's house. And I'd like to join the family for pizza because I'm leaving in 2 days for good. We've been doing this an hour and 20 minutes anyway. All right, we're talking candy anyway. All right, let me get going. Thank you, guys. I will talk to you later. I may not be doing a show tomorrow. Let's see. Tomorrow is the day before I leave Chicago for good. And I think tomorrow is going to be a crazy day. I don't think there's going to be live tomorrow. Let's see. I'm not going to promise it because today was already busy enough. I fear tomorrow is going to be crazy day, getting the house ready, packing, you know what I mean? So anyway, all right. I will try to see you guys tomorrow. Otherwise, Monday, we will do an election night show. We're going to do this Sunday. We'll have the show Sunday for the paid subscribers. So we'll still be doing all of that. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.